We are talking to former Colts, Broncos, and defensive end and linebacker, Darrell Reid. Darrell, what's up, bud?
How's it going? How's it going, fellas?
We're good, man. How are you feeling? How are you and your family doing from the whole COVID-19 situation and obviously this 2023 year?
You know what? I lost two family members, unfortunately. I lost my uncle and my great uncle, almost like back to back, over a year ago. So that was pretty tough on the family. But besides that, doing pretty good. Everybody else is pretty good.
Well, we're happy. I lost. By the way, I'm sorry to hear that your two family members passed away, and we're happy that you're doing better. I lost 3 family members this year as well, not from COVID. I lost a nephew, freak accident. I lost a cousin. I lost my aunt a couple of weeks ago to a massive heart attack. So I've been dealing with a lot of stuff too. It's been a crazy year, and hopefully 2023 is better. So
yeah. COVID's trying to rear its ugly head again. It's trying to come back a little bit, make a little comeback or something right now.
Yeah, but thank God COVID isn't as bad as it was when it first came out.
It's not as deadly, right?
No, but we're happy to have you on, Darrell, and we will get into your career first, and then we'll ask you some of your opinions of what you've seen so far in the NFL season. As everybody knows, we are talking to former Colts and Broncos defensive end and linebacker Darrell Reid. I'm sorry. So, Darrell, why don't we get into your career first? Because you were in the NFL for a significant amount of time, and you were a pretty good linebacker and defensive end. Tell us, obviously, what were your thoughts when you got drafted, and in your career moving from defensive end to linebacker?
Well, I wasn't drafted, so I was a free agent. I didn't have the pleasure of getting my name called, on draft day or the second day, or it might have been 3 days back then, So I didn't get my name called, but that was fine. I was okay. I was upset at first, but I was okay with it. I had my choice between 3 teams. There was 3 teams that really wanted me, right? It was the Minnesota Vikings, and I had played college ball at Minnesota. I knew a lot of the players at Minnesota, Antoine Winfield, Kevin Williams. It was those days. So I wanted to go to Minnesota. The Cleveland Browns were interested, and the Indianapolis Colts. And they were all offering me the same signing bonus, $2,500. It's like, this is your shot. Take it or leave it. But I wanted to go to the Vikings, but my agent actually said, you should go to the Colts. You fit their system better. And I wasn't even thinking. I obviously had a brain fart because Tony Dungy was the coach, and he went to the University of Minnesota. But I didn't put it together at that time. And I didn't put it together that on that staff was about 10, 15 Big Ten players. He had assembled a team of Big Ten players, and there was 3 guys from Minnesota, 3 or 4 guys, me, Ben Utek, and he gave some other guys that came out that year a shot to make that team. But I didn't put that together till later. But fortunately, I got a chance to go to one of the greatest franchises at the time. That Indianapolis Colts team was, Bill Polian, the GM, from the top down, right? Jim Irsay, great owner, obviously, well known in the public eye.
Of course he is. Yeah.
known, any of his players only have good things to say about him, right? He's not one of those owners that, players talk bad about after they leave, right? And then you got Bill Polian, who put together the Buffalo Bills franchises that win 4 Super Bowls, right? So he knows how to put together great teams and great franchises. And then you got Tony Dungy, the coach, head coach, and then Peyton on down to, I probably played with 10, 15 future Hall of Famers, and it's very rare that you get a team full of that many great players. It was, I shouldn't say I played with 10 or 15 over my career, but on that team, at least 7. I'm going to say 7 right now. I'm going to say 7. Peyton, right? Marvin are in. Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne should be in shortly.
Both pass rushers, Freeney and Mathis should be in.
Freeney's in. Freeney will definitely get in. Mathis should get in,
Yep.
Dallas Clark, I don't know. He should, though. He
borderline. Yep.
Borderline. But you got the kickers. You got Vinatieri, should get in. He's one of the greatest kickers of all time. Long career. And then you got the most accurate kicker ever, Mike Vandercheck, right? So you have, a whole bunch of great players on that team. And so I was very fortunate to land in Indianapolis. It was just a great situation for me.
Yeah, Bob Sanders probably would have been too if he didn't have all those injuries towards the end of his career.
Bob Sanders was fantastic linebacker.
Bob Sanders was unbelievable for about a 4. And see, I seen him play in college. Once again, another Big Ten player, right? So I saw Bob playing in college, and he was just wrecking us every time we played there.
Yeah, I could believe that. Just don't have any of them coach like Jeff Saturday has been doing and only winning one game so far and blowing a 33-0 lead.
Yeah, I think he's in a tough situation, right?
That's fair. I'll give you that.
It's hard to change the culture of the team mid-season, right? So I don't know if they're going to keep him around. It doesn't seem like they will, right? But for him, he's coming from ESPN. He's never coached before. And, Irsay gave him a shot to try to change the culture that quickly and, bring some morale to the locker room and to the fan base. And, he's known, obviously he's well-liked, in the Colts family, right? So, gave him a shot and, Reggie Wayne's coaching there. So, bringing a lot of players from that era back.
Could you see that kind of trend, though, keep going on? Because we've seen it in the NBA and MLB a lot of former players that end up being coaches. We're seeing now DeMeco Ryans being a big rumor for the NFL with the 49ers as the defensive coordinator, probably getting head coaching job. So can you see that kind of trend starting, even with less experience?
It's tough. Usually it doesn't happen. Usually you have to work your way up the ranks like DeMeco's doing right now, right? And he's worked his way up. He's proven himself as a pretty good defensive coordinator. I think he started off maybe in the linebackers and, maybe as even an assistant before that. So if Jeff Saturday would have came in and did well, that would have opened the door, right? But he didn't. So it's like, okay, so we need him to have a little bit more experience. You have coaches just haven't done well as head coaches. Head coach in Denver, Josh McDaniels, he just, as a head coach, it doesn't seem to come together like you think it would, and he's a great offensive coordinator, right? He's been great in New England, but it doesn't seem to come together for him as a head coach, and I'm not sure why.
He was great because they had Tom Brady. Let's be honest. I mean, anybody that coach, me and you could coach Tom Brady and tell Tom Brady, hey, we'll set you up a couple of short passes to your running backs. You don't need star wide receivers because all you have to do is throw short passes, slant passes, and your guys are fast enough to get to the end zone.
Well, let's not forget when Brady got hurt and Matt Castle stepped in. Matt Castle looked phenomenal.
Yes,
right?
He did.
And went and got that contract in Kansas City, right? So. Who was coaching Matt Castle to step in like a starter, right?
And maybe it was Bill Belichick.
We know Belichick's got his hands in everything, but Belichick is traditionally a defensive coach.
100%.
I mean, of course he can coach offense, but he comes from, the Bill Parcells tree. He's a defensive coach.
Yeah, you're right.
He's a schemer. He's one of the best schemers this game's had.
Offensively, yes, but I think Andy Reid is just on a whole nother level right now. He's just he to me, Andy Reid is the greatest offensive coordinator we've seen in the last 20 years. And everybody keeps talking and speaking about Sean Payton, how available he's going to be in the offseason. Andy Reid, to me, everything that he's done, every quarterback he has coached, because of the way he runs his schemes and he brings all these different running backs in, and he doesn't need a star wide receiver. He really doesn't. And you can see that the success that he brings because of the way he builds his offense, the way he runs his offense. It's phenomenal. It really is. We are speaking to former Colts and Broncos defensive end and linebacker Darrell Reid. Go ahead, Darrell.
No, not for nothing. I think with Coach Reid teaming up with Eric Bieniemy out in Kansas City, it just was like because in Philly he wasn't able to win the big game, right?
No,
and, I mean, it doesn't hurt that you have Pat Mahomes as your quarterback, but Bieniemy definitely added some wrinkles to that offense. He already had a lot of creativity, right? Andy Reid, and I think Bieniemy just added a little bit of spice and those shovel passes and all that's not Andy Reid.
No, that has a lot to do with the talented quarterback that he has.
Goal line plays and all, and maybe some of it's also Pat Mahomes. I don't know personally, how much he has, how much insight he has into designing offensive plays, but I know they draw him up. You get them in the goal line, it's a headache.